evangelism to Muslims. So far, we haven't had any people come up and have conversations with us, but the last couple of times, people generally came at the end. I'm just going to flip the camera around just to show you what we're currently doing. So basically, we have this challenge, which is for Muslims to come and prove to us that Jesus is a Muslim. That's one of the challenges. We also have a secondary challenge, which is prove Muhammad prophesied in the Bible, 250 euros. So basically, if people come to us and they discuss and they can prove these things, that's kind of the whole point. But it's more so to get them to come to talk to us, so we can actually have like a conversation with them and hopefully evangelize to them. But yeah, that's currently what we're doing. We're just waiting, and so we're just gonna have to wait and see if people come and have a conversation. So what do I do at this point, right?
Yeah, no. So why do you think Jesus is not a Muslim?
Well, to answer kind of our own challenge, well, the reason is because Jesus says stuff about himself that if any Muslim were to say it, they would be committing shirk immediately. So Jesus, in a number of places in the Bible, for example, deifies himself. So one quick example would be, if I go by what the Quran says and the standard of the Quran, in chapter 10, verse 210 of the Quran, it says that Allah on the day of judgment will come on the clouds of heaven with his angels to judge the entire world. And it says that only Allah will be doing this. But Jesus, as we know from scripture, Matthew 24, 25, 26, Matthew 16, as well as Mark 14, and it's all throughout the Gospels, whether the Synoptic Gospels or John's Gospel. Jesus actually says that about himself. He'll say that on the day of judgment, he's the one who's going to be coming on the clouds of heaven to judge the world. He'll be the final cosmic judge of the entire world with his angels. Now, if the Quran is saying only Allah will do that, and Jesus is saying that he's the one who's going to do that, well, can he still be a Muslim and do something that only Allah will do? Furthermore, in chapter 22, verse 6 of the Quran, it says that Allah alone is the truth. So he alone is al-Haq. Now, that's problematic because in the Bible, in John 14:6, Jesus says that he is the truth. So if a Muslim was to argue with me and say, well, a prophet technically is the truth. Well, no. According to your Quran, chapter 22, verse 6, Allah alone is the truth. That's what it says in your own Quran. Only Allah is the truth. Otherwise, you have to show from the Quran a prophet calling themselves al-Haq. No, if you go to chapter 22, verse 6, it says Allah alone is the truth. And Jesus claimed that about himself in John 14:6. So for a number of reasons, based on everything Jesus says and how he portrays himself, I have every reason to believe that, he deified himself, that he was God in the flesh. And if he claims these things about himself, can he be a Muslim? Well, a Muslim will tell me no, obviously not. You can't claim to be equal with God and still be a Muslim. That's shirk. So for that reason, that's why I believe that. And among other reasons, but those are just some of them.
So in the Quran, God is not a father to anyone, right?
Yeah, that's another mistake. So according to the Quran, it says that Allah is not a father to anyone. The issue with that is that the Gospels themselves, Jesus refers to God as Father consistently. So much so that even critical scholars agree that this term Abba, like Bart Ehrman, for example, goes back to the historical Jesus, that he did refer to God as Father. But Abba is stronger than Father. It's not even just Father. It's more so Dad. It's a very intimate, close, personal term. Now, I would ask a Muslim, can I refer to Allah as Dad and still be a Muslim? Well, they would tell me no, of course not. So Jesus' whole portrayal of God is that he truly is a Father, and we are to address him as a Father, right? And that through him he has been revealed. On top of that, the Quran says, for example, I think it's in chapter 19, verse 5, that you are a slave to Allah and nothing more. Well, Jesus in John chapter 15 tells us that we're not slaves, that we're actually friends of God, right? That we have this close, intimate relationship with God, and that he views us truly as his children, right? That's why as well in Matthew, he'll say, anyone who does the will of my Father is my brother, sister, mother, whatever. Well, can I call myself a child of Allah, like truly his son, and still be a Muslim? Of course not. So again, like all the data that we have clearly indicates and points out that it's just not true. Would you do it then? So you don't want to do what your Quran says and evangelize?
What was she? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. I think she was saying maybe if you do like 150 years more, like Muslims might come.
Oh, that's the Catholic guy I talked to. That's why I'm saying thumbs up.
Oh, okay. So yeah, at the moment we're just waiting for people to come. Hopefully we'll get a few people, but yeah, I mean we have a lot of people who are taking photos and stuff, so maybe it's possible.
They need to come up more and talk,
Yeah.
It's very surprising that they're not coming.
Yeah. Oh, maybe this lady's talking. Oh no.
So next week I'll change that. Jesus is Allah, and
Yeah.
we'll see. It's best to shift to the main street from next week.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
There was more crowd on the main street actually.
Okay. Yeah, so basically for like the reasons that I just mentioned, among others, the Quran's integrity is not very strong. Like, just a quick example, in chapter 10, verse 90 of the Quran, it says that Pharaoh drowned at the time of Moses. We have leading Egyptologists, for example, that have analyzed this, and forensics that have the bodies of most of the pharaohs from the 19th and 18th dynastic period, meaning it has to be at least one of those pharaohs. So like a workaround argument is a Muslim could say, well, he's not named by name. Well, one, that's problematic because your God is supposed to be all-knowing, yet he doesn't know which pharaoh it is, apparently. Secondly, even if I grant you that, it still doesn't change the fact that we have all the bodies of all the potential candidates, meaning it has to be at least one of them. And guess what? Forensics have concluded that none of them drowned, yet the Quran claims that the pharaoh drowned. So Egyptologists I'll just give a few names like Bob Breyer, Peter Feynman, David A. Falk, for example, so on and so forth. They all conclude that claim that the Quran makes is a ahistorical claim, based on the evidence that we have. So that's just an example of like why I don't believe the Quran is from God, because if it's from God, how is it making historical errors, like clear historical errors, contrary to the evidence? Another example is in chapter 20, verse 85. It says that there was a Samaritan at the time of Moses. Again, we have, works we have different works produced by scholars in the field where they've dealt with the Samaritan people in terms of their history and their emergence. So, for example, Adam Zertel actually has a book on this that he wrote in 1989 on the emergence of the Samaritan people. And he concludes that they didn't emerge until... He's an archaeologist, by the way, a credible archaeologist, and he concludes that they didn't emerge as a people until roughly the 8th century, right, BC, which would have been 500 years after the time of Moses, roughly 400 or 500 years after the time of Moses. Yet the Quran claims that there were Samaritans at the time of Moses, right? So it's a historical claim. Andrew Tobolsky also has a book on the emergence of the Samaritan people, and in his 2022 book, same thing. They didn't emerge until the 8th century. You also have the Encyclopedia Judaica, which is also a scholarly work produced by scholars in the field that deals with the history of the Samaritan people, and it's the same thing. Again, they all conclude that they didn't emerge as a people until roughly the 8th century. Yet the Quran claims that there were that there were Samaritans there at the time Moses, even though all the data tells us there weren't. So again, it's another, going by what scholars would say, it's a historical claim. So like, how can I take a book seriously when the author is mishandling and not understanding basic Samaritan and basic Egyptian history, getting it wrong effectively? Again, that brings into question for me anyway the veracity of the text and its credibility and its integrity. Again, among other things, like I haven't even brought like the different contradictions between, for example, the different modes, the 7 ahruf of the Quran, where they actually do contradict each other, like the hafs and the warsh, for example, in a number of passages. They change the meaning. It's not just a recitation change, it's actually a meaning change where a completely different word is used. Like in some cases, you'll have, for example, a preposition that's used, and then in the same passage in the hafs, a noun is used in its place. Like, again, if you're familiar with grammar, a preposition is a completely different syntactic property to a sentence than what a noun is, right? So like, and this changes the meaning of the sentence. So if you're going to sit there and say it's perfectly preserved and that they're in agreement with each other, then why do you have such discrepancies between them? Again, these are questions we hope people will ask or answer when they come up to us. But they're questions that we have. But again, the whole purpose behind this is it's just a mode of evangelism for us. So hopefully, we can preach the truth to whoever comes, and hopefully they'll receive it. But we'll have to effectively wait and see.
What is it? It's like what? Because we're mad.
I have to be back for 4:30, so we'll probably leave at like 10 to.
Oh, okay. Where did
I have a meeting. So like, do you know that I did the evangelism training last week? We're doing another one today.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's fine. We just leave like 5-10 minutes early.
We'll go a bit early, meet the imam here, and set up an appointment for tomorrow.
Yep.
After church, do you think? Are you
Yeah.
available?
Yep.
Just quickly talk with him. We should have taken his number the last time, actually.
Yeah.
So 3:45, we can wrap it.
Yep.
Do you see? Are you still live?
Yeah.
You want? Oh, you can read this first, and we can. Do you see a problem there in the variation of the recitation? The red one and the variation.
This one will not be able to.
the gates of heaven will not be opened, as opposed to will not be widely opened. So there is a possibility of entrance in the variation.
Yeah, I mean that one's a little bit. I would say that's a bit slight. I wouldn't regard that as like a mass, because either way, it's like technically it's not open. I do know what you're saying though, but
Yeah.
it's not strong enough of a difference that you could make a thing out of it. There's a difference there, like as you
Yeah.
said, one is widely
One is
open,
not
and
open at all.
but they're both saying not opened, in some sense. But like, I don't know. Some of the other ones are just a little bit stronger. Like I wouldn't focus in on ones where it's just kind of
No,
that
there
one's
are- there are,
slight.
of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's more slight because you can kind of work around it and say, oh, it's kind of saying
So
the same
how do
thing.
you work around it? We'll just take roll and
So if you say, okay, you say it will not be widely open versus it will not be open for them.
yeah.
So widely open,
Like for example, we're standing in front of the hotel, right?
yeah.
It is not open
Widely.
or it is not widely open. Means a few people can enter in, whereas if it is closed, nobody can enter in at all. And it's talking about gates of heaven. That's talking about salvation in that regard, it's
Yeah.
the entrance to heaven.
But I need to understand how do they understand that from the Arabic, right? Because I don't know the Arabic, right?
They've
Because
given you the interpretation here, right? The literal translation.
no, that's a literal translation. I
Yeah.
know, but what I'm saying is
Tafsir,
that
you mean?
not even the tafsir.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so the widely opened variant. Okay, how is that understood from the Arabic? Right. Aside from the translation, like if they were to explain what that means, because
Yeah.
certain phrases can be basically an idiom,
Yeah.
right, which can be kind of translated sort of poorly. Like widely opened could technically, from the Arabic perspective, mean the same as just not opened. I don't know. It could be just an idiom, like a way of saying it. Because sometimes you have these weird idiomatic phrases that are phrased a little bit differently, but they mean the same thing.
Tafsir says about it. Where was that?
Because if you think of it this way, right, you say it's not widely open for them, but it is widely open for others. What does that mean?
Yeah, some people will not enter in.
I know, but I think both kind of technically mean the same point, right?
No. Not opened versus widely opened. Not opened.
Yeah,
zero
but
people
yeah, I
enter
know,
in.
no, but
Yeah.
but widely open for
For
them,
others, you're
right?
adding the
Yeah, but I'm
others
saying
into
if
the
you,
text.
yeah, because that would be the inverse of that statement. If it's not widely open for them, then it is widely open for others.
Let me read.
Because there's like with any statement, like whenever you make a statement, it always has a double meaning to it because the inverse of it is true. I'll give you an example, right? If I tell you that smoking is bad, right, what's the inverse of that statement? The inverse of that statement is not smoking is good.
I didn't listen to you. Tell me again.
So I'll just give you an example, right? Because a lot of these sentences, like when you just think about it for a minute, they have like a double meaning, right? So if I tell you smoking is bad,
Yeah.
okay, what's the inverse of that?
Not bad.
Not smoking is good.
Could be not bad also. Could be.
Yeah, but you get my point. It's like
Yes,
like if I say smoking is bad, I'm also saying that not smoking is a good thing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I'm saying both,
Yes.
even though I'm only focusing in on one.
Yeah.
So if I say, for example, it's not widely open for them, then it means that it is widely open for others.
Yes, that's a
So-
problem, right?
But I know, but the focus is on the people that it's not widely open for, right? Therefore, it's just not open for them. But it will be widely open for others pending their faith. It's like it can work both ways. What I'm saying is that I think that could be idiomatic, and I think that it's possible that it's just like this variant in that idiomatic phrasing of that Arabic version.
Okay.
I think, I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm just
We'll
trying to
have
open
see
up how
the
they could
tafsir,
argue
what
that.
they're saying.
Yeah.
Because the Hafs is saying closed. Closed
They're
or
both
widely
technically
open?
saying they're both technically saying that it's not open. You know? we just had basically a little earlier a Muslim lady walk past, and yeah, she didn't want to engage. So I just pointed out to her that like her own Quran tells her that she's supposed to give dawah. But then again, a lot of a lot of so-called Muslims, they're only Muslims sadly by name as opposed to actually like following their religion. They're just cultural Muslims basically. The same applies also to Christianity as well. You have a lot of people who are just culturally Christian but aren't actually Christian. Like they have no problem claiming the title without accepting its implication. And it's kind of the same thing. Like, so even though she was wearing the hijab or whatever, she just kind of didn't want to engage. So, yeah. I just want to point out as well, it's not just her. Like we have had like quite a few people pass who just, as I said, like they fall into the same boat where they're just, they're just cultural. They're just cultural Muslims, but they're not really willing to like defend their faith. Even though their Quran tells them to do it. And it kind of in some sense it debunks the whole argument that like Islam is like a strong religion in the sense that like you've so many Muslims. Well, not really. Like by the standard of their own Quran, I would say the 9 times out of 10 the Muslim that you spot on the street, they're not really a devout Muslim. They're more than likely just a cultural Muslim. So a Muslim by name only. Yeah, they'll wear this hijab or whatever, and they might go to the mosque. But generally speaking, when it comes to doing the things that the Quran tells them to do, like they're supposed to give dawah, they're supposed to evangelize or whatever, they're just not willing to do it, So, kind of the same thing that you have in Christianity, right? It's like, your scriptures tell you to go out and evangelize. Your scriptures tell you to defend the faith. Your scriptures tell you to do whatever. And a lot of Christians who are Christian, well, a lot of professing Christians, I would say, don't actually do those things, right? So, that's problematic, obviously, but this kind of gives you, I guess, a picture into, Islam in the sense of, even though, like, they'll say there's 1.1 billion Muslims, and you do probably encounter so-called Muslims on a daily basis, but, like, a lot of them just aren't willing to defend their faith. They're not willing to give dawah, even though their Quran tells them to. So, that's kind of where we're at, basically.
Yeah, so the tafsir says that clearly it will not be open for the disbelievers.
Yeah.
As far as I understand, I have a problem there.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying that, okay, so if you say it's not widely open for them, widely is just a way of saying...
Widely is the variation.
Yeah. No, I know that, but what I'm saying is, when you say widely open, like my arms are open wide for you, but they're not open wide for you, what does that mean?
Your argument doesn't make sense to me.
So there's a phrase...
Hold on. My arms are closed.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Wide open.
No, what I'm saying is there's an idiom that we use, which is my arms are open wide for you, meaning I'm going to receive you.
Yes.
If I say my arms are not open widely for you, it means I'm not going to receive you.
Oh, that's what you mean.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
But that's what the tafsir is saying.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying, that variant could have that same connotation to it. It could be another way of saying they're not going to enter into it. It could be just an idiomatic way of saying that. Because if you use the analogy with my arms are open wide for you versus my arms are not open wide for you, it means that I'm not going to receive you. That's what it means. But that's what I'm saying. If you have an Arabic guy, it's different because he can verify if it's an idiomatic thing or not, because I don't speak Arabic, so I don't know like idiomatically speaking what that phrase actually means.
It's not open.
I think if we put Jesus as Allah, a lot of Christians will also come up to refute that.
Yeah. No, that'll only like obviously the point with that is to to get the Muslims to come up. But even if the Christians come up, it's like we're saying he's God, so it's like Allah is God. We're saying he is God. So then they'll say, oh, okay, now we get it, and they'll just walk away. But if they know who Allah is, like as they know that Allah is
Nature
God,
of-
it's like they should be like, oh, okay, they're saying he's God. All right, we'll walk away.
I don't think Allah occurs in the Arabic Bible. It's Ilahi, so I have to verify that.
Yeah.
Allah and Allah. Because the Thomas says, "My Lord, my God." It's Rabbiyun wa Ilahi.
Okay.
It's using Illah like Bismillah. There's one. Have you seen that? John 3:7.
On which?
The lights can straight up. John
Oh yeah.
What is John 3:7? Look it up.
I don't know. You'd have to check
Unless
it.
you are born again or something like that.
Yeah. That's
Marvel
cool.
not that I say to you, you must be born again.
That's cool that they have that.
Yeah, it's a big sign as well, right?
Yeah. Is that on the pub, is it?
Yeah.
It's strange that a pub has that.
I don't know. I just
Maybe
saw
the
it
owner is
today.
religious or something. But then again, it's like if you're religious, why would you be owning a pub?
Where can we find a mostly Muslim crowd? I think Crescent. We should plan Crescent as well, I think.
Yeah.
I asked him about any sponsorship for the tent. He didn't reply. Lonnie
Okay.
forgot to follow. Have you seen the email?
I saw the email. Yeah. I saw the email.
These are the good days actually.
Yeah.
Chilly.
Yeah. I like, to be honest with you. Okay, I don't mind if it's cold, just as long as it's not raining.
Yeah.
Then it's fine. Because look, if it's cold, you can wear a jacket and you're fine. You're warm. But if it's raining, then it's like, oh. Hey, how are you?
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good.
I'm still waiting for Ibrahim to get back to me.
Yeah, call him.
No, I messaged him. So I asked him about the thing with Pharaoh, right?
Yeah.
And you remember the way he told in the street? He said in the street that he had sources at home.
Yeah.
He said
I'll give you.
No, he knows. He knows. He has nothing. He doesn't have
That's the
anything.
problem.
That's
I'll tell him. I'll tell him when I meet.
Sure. Remind my evidence also from the last debate. He has not sent any evidence. No.
I'll tell him.
Sure.
all right. All the best, guys. Take care. I think I told you that in the last message he sent me. He told me that he's like, you're like Donald Trump. He basically called me Donald Trump.
For what?
I don't know, just my way of arguing or something.
Okay.
He's like, you remind me of Donald Trump.
But Irish people hate Trump and Americans, right?
They hate him?
Yeah, that's
No,
the
no,
only
no.
narrative I heard.
No.
Oh, you're the first Irish I know who does not,
No, Irish people mostly don't.
in general, dislike towards Americans
They-
because of the.
Well, I think, things have changed a little bit. Like back in 2016, people were kind of like indifferent towards him. A lot of people hated him.
My
Some people
colleagues
did like
in my
him.
office told me, don't talk anything positive about Donald Trump in Ireland. They are Irish.
Hmm, okay. No, I know a lot of people who like him because, okay, like think of it this way: Kamala Harris, right? She, there were Christians at her rally. She completely shut them down, and she wanted nothing to do with Christianity. Okay. Donald Trump's vice, who's running with him, basically said, because someone said in the crowd, Jesus is Lord, and he said, yes, Jesus is Lord, right? And that's part of our campaign. But Kamala Harris completely renounced it. She publicly renounced
She's
Jesus.
not a Christian, right?
Yeah, but she publicly renounced it. She basically called it like nonsense, and she's like, she said, I don't care what you Christians say about anything. So it's like you have that. And then, okay, whatever about the stuff with Trump that isn't so good, at least he's there promoting certain things that are biblical.
Yeah.
Like he's going against the whole gender ideology thing.
Yeah.
She's not. She's promoting it. She's like, she doesn't care.
Yeah, the left versus the right.
Yeah.
Satanic worship is within the left circles, right?
So you're like, if
Yeah,
you're
the
gonna
Satan
ask me, which do I prefer someone like Donald Trump actually has said that Jesus is Lord. Like, am I gonna go with look, apart from the corrupt stuff? It's like these are your two options. Kamala Harris, who completely renounced Jesus publicly, and then Trump, who didn't renounce Jesus publicly, acknowledged them, and then on top of that is at least like countering these like anti-Christian values that this other party is trying to instill, like the gender stuff and all the other stuff. It's like, who's the better option there? I'm not saying either of them are a good option. I'm just saying that if you're asking me which is a better option, well, based on the things Trump has said, absolutely. Right? Because I like when I saw that she completely renounced him, like when she renounced Jesus, I was like, oh man, that's...
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the individual preferences.
Yeah. Again, I just want to say, just because if people are watching this and they heard that,
yeah.
like, I'm not saying that, like, either of them are a good option. That's not my point. My point is, if you're asking me which is the better option of the two, I'm saying he's the better option. Sometimes when people hear that, they're like, oh, wait, you're saying he's the... no, that's not what I'm saying.
I didn't know you were still like.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3:45 we'll pack up.
Yep.
Quickly touch them and then.
I'll get something quickly to eat before my meeting. No, at home. I have it at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you cook?
No, well, no, I do, yeah. I have something prepared from yesterday. So I prepared something small yesterday, which I'm going to have before my meeting quickly. So.
Quickly to before the Irish.
Even if they take a photo, it's fine because they're going to put it on something.
Yeah, but they have been doing since the beginning, right? We started
Yeah.
6 weeks back. No one has come. That's what I'm surprised.
I think though it could just take time. That's the thing. Like the more traction, the more promotion. It's just going to take time. And as you said, like as long as we're consistent with it,
Yes.
People will come. Ironically, though, it's funny that it's like mostly been Christians that have come to have a conversation. At least some of a conversation. All the Muslims, they know what it says. They're just avoiding it.
Yeah, I think they don't feel qualified to defend it.
Yeah.
Muhammad affirmed the Bible is true, would that gain any traction?
Yeah, that's a good one. I just wanted to think of a good way, like try and phrase it in a way that's like catchy, that's like short and catchy. But that is a
On
good
side
one.
We can have Jesus is Allah, and the other side
Yeah.
we need something.
Yeah. It could be like Muhammad said the Bible is true. The only thing I'd be careful with the word affirm, because the word affirm, you'd be surprised. Not everyone knows the word affirm.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, okay, is it?
yeah. Like even we use this phrase native English speakers. There's people who don't know the word affirm.
Okay.
Like there's a lot of people who don't know the word affirm.
Okay, how do you say it then?
Yeah, that's it could be just something.
Muhammad said the Bible is uncorrupted word of God. That's gonna be too long, I think.
Yeah, no, it could be just something. Muhammad said the Bible is the word of God, or Muhammad said the Bible is true.
Okay.
Just keep it simple, because if you use a word like affirm, as I said, not like there's 50% of the people passing who don't know that word. You think they would, but yeah, that's a really good question. We just have to find a way to phrase it nice and short. And that can be the other one. I thought the march was on Sunday. The Jesus march. It must be, unless they're only going down today as like they're setting up today or something. I don't know. But then I also thought there was a march last week. So it must be this week then.
I'm not
It
sure
has
when
to be.
it's
It has to be for the Halloween thing, the whole Halloween parade thing. Because we have the Limerick parade today.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so that must. The Limerick parade is at, I think it's at like 7 or something, around then. Because I have to go to the church for 7 to meet Bernice, and then we're doing
It's just the two of you, is it?
her and one other person, Lennox or Lennox. I don't know what their name is.
Paul, I think.
Yeah.
We're also-
Well, actually, I don't know if it's Paul, because she said the other person is a she.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's someone else.
All right.
Maybe it is Paul. But maybe I misheard her. But she even said she's not, like, we're not 100% sure if that person is even coming.
Okay.
But they might come. So it'll either be 3 of us or just 2 of us.
Yeah. So what's the plan then?
So we're meeting at the church. She wants to do face painting apparently. So we do face painting. I'm not too keen on the face painting bit, but
Last year you did that, I think, right?
I never did it before.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, last year.
They did it. Yeah, they did it. Yeah.
Oh,
It's just the thing about face painting is you then have to like get the paint off, and it's like but anyway, I don't mind doing it for the evangelism thing. But yeah, so we're meeting at the church at 7, and then we're going to start after the parade is finished, which I think is around 7:45,
okay. Okay.
and then we'll start evangelizing then. We still haven't, so we're using a board with a question on it to hopefully get people to ask us questions, but there hasn't been a decision made on exactly what the question is going to be. One of the questions they suggested was something like, we are spiritual beings, which I told them, no, that's a bad question, because that kind of question is too theological. Like, what on earth do you mean by spiritual being?
Yeah.
Like, what on earth are you talking about? And most of the people who are passing by will read that and they're like, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not a good question. I kind of get what they're getting at, what they're trying to get at, they're trying
It
to
needs
like
be explained further.
yeah, but even still, like even it's too complicated a question. It's like just keep it something simple. Like when I go up and I evangelize to people who don't know anything about Christianity, the last thing I'm going to be talking about is spiritual beings and the spiritual realm and all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, like just keep it simple. Like, okay, see this is, and like the other thing as well is like there's different views on that as well, right? As far as what constitutes a human being, right? So like one of the main views is that we are in fact a physical being in the sense that we have a human nature, a physical body, right? But we also have a soul, right? So you have this dualistic understanding, and then there's other people who have a triistic understanding. They'll say, well, it's body, soul, and spirit.
The Bible affirms Bible by body, soul, and spirit.
I know, but some people hold, so some people hold to the dualistic view because the word spirit and soul, when applied to a human being, can be somewhat interchangeable. So there's some people that hold to that view. But I wouldn't say a human being is spirit. This is why I'm reluctant to use that kind of language, because only God is spirit, right? So what does spirit mean? When we say God is spirit, it means he transcends time and space. It's a revelatory term to define God separate from the rest of creation. Okay? So if you say human is spirit, that's a problematic statement because it goes against the whole nature of God versus our own human nature in light of that. So
Okay, I don't agree with that, but it's okay.
I know, but you notice, so, okay, in John chapter 4, right, when it says God is spirit, right, the theological definition of that within scholarship is that's referring to God's transcendent nature, that he's outside of time and space. If you apply that same analogy to a human being, you're also suggesting that a human being is outside of time and space. Human beings are not outside of time and space, they're confined to time and space, right? If you go to Isaiah 29:16, what does it say? Shall the potter be considered like the clay, right?
Again, you need to understand the way that Jesus became a man
Yeah.
and was limited in time and space.
No. Yeah, but he wasn't. That's the thing. He wasn't. He was still fully God.
He
Right.
hungered and thirst, right? He was limited.
Yeah,
by-
no. But he was still fully God. So, like, I'll give you an example, right? Athanasius wrote an entire book on this, right? He was the guy, by the way, at the Council of Nicaea who upheld the Trinitarian doctrine against Arius, right?
Okay, shall we start walking?
Yeah.
in the time of the-
So he
We
wrote.
can keep talking.
Oh yeah, I'll wrap up here. That's gonna be it for now. How do I? Are you sure you wanna?